Is there sex at 100? That's the question every man is afraid to ask. Because once you ask it, you have to face what's left. I'm 101 years old, and I haven't had physical intimacy in 15 years. Maybe longer. I stopped counting at some point because counting made it worse. And for a long time, years, maybe a decade, I thought that meant I was dead inside, that I'd become irrelevant, a ghost living in an old man's body, going through motions that didn't mean anything anymore. My wife is 96. Her name is Eleanor. We've been married 73 years. And if you're a younger man listening to this, you're probably thinking, that sounds like the end of everything, like slow death, like existing but not living. I thought that too, for longer than I want to admit. When I was 30, 40, even 60, I believed physical intimacy was the proof. Proof I was alive, proof I mattered, proof I was still a man, still vital, still worth something. I looked at old couples, sitting quietly on park benches, holding hands, saying nothing, and I felt sorry for them. I thought, they're just waiting to die. They've given up. I was terrified of becoming them. The body doesn't ask permission when it starts to fail. Things stop working. Slowly at first, then faster, then all at once it seems. And one of those things, the thing I thought defined me, the thing I thought held everything together, just faded. Not all at once, not dramatically, gradually, like sound getting quieter and quieter until one day you realize it's gone completely and you can't remember when you last heard it. I don't remember exactly when it stopped. There was no final time, no moment I could point to and say, that was it. It just wasn't there anymore, like a language we used to speak that slowly became harder to remember until we forgot it entirely. And I was furious, not at Eleanor, never at her, at myself, at time, at my body, at the unfairness of still being here, still breathing, still waking up every morning but not being whole. I felt like something essential had been stolen from me, like I'd been demoted from husband to, what, roommate, caretaker, burden? I started pulling away from her, not consciously. I didn't decide to do it, but I'd stiffen when she touched me, look away when she smiled at me, make excuses to go to bed early or stay up late, put space between us because being close reminded me of what I couldn't do anymore. I was ashamed, deeply ashamed. Ashamed that I couldn't be what I used to be. Ashamed that my body had betrayed me. Ashamed that I felt like less of a man. One night, this was maybe 8, 9 years ago, she asked me what was wrong. We were in bed. She'd reached for my hand and I'd pulled it away without thinking. Nothing, I said. Don't do that, she said quietly. Don't lie to me. Not after all these years. But I couldn't tell her, couldn't put words to it, because saying it out loud would mean admitting I was broken, that I'd failed at the one thing I thought mattered most. She didn't push. She just turned away, and I lay there in the dark, hating myself. That went on for months, maybe a year, me withdrawing, her waiting, the distance between us growing even though we were sleeping in the same bed, eating at the same table, living in the same house. I was losing her, not to another man or to death or to anything external. I was losing her because I couldn't accept what I'd become. Then one evening, I don't know why that evening specifically, there was nothing special about it, we were sitting on the porch. We have 2 rocking chairs out there side by side facing the street. It was summer, still warm even though the sun was going down. We'd been sitting there in silence for maybe 20 minutes. Not an angry silence, just quiet. I was watching the neighbor's dog chase something in the yard across the street, and Eleanor reached over and took my hand. I almost pulled away. Almost. That was my instinct now, to retreat, to protect myself from the reminder of what I couldn't give her. But something stopped me. Maybe I was just too tired to keep running. Maybe some part of me was desperate for connection, even if it hurt. So I let her hold my hand. Her skin was thin, papery. I could feel every bone in her fingers, every vein. Her wedding ring was loose, spinning around when she moved, and we just sat there, not talking, not looking at each other, just her hand in mine, both of us rocking slightly. And I felt it, something I hadn't felt in a long time, not desire, not that old urgency, something else, something I didn't have a word for, safety maybe, or recognition, or just the simple fact of not being alone. We stayed like that until the sun went down completely and the streetlights came on. An hour, maybe more. Time moves differently when you're this old. And when we finally went inside, I realized something strange. I hadn't thought about what I'd lost. Not once in that whole hour. I'd just been there, present, with her. It didn't fix everything. The shame didn't disappear overnight. The fear didn't evaporate. But something shifted, like a door I didn't know was closed had opened just slightly. I started noticing things I'd stopped seeing. Things I'd stopped counting as meaningful because they weren't what I thought mattered. The way Eleanor hums when she reads. 4 notes over and over unconsciously. She's done it for as long as I've known her. I used to find it annoying. Now I listen for it when the house is quiet. The way she knows I need my coffee at exactly 6:30 in the morning. Not 6:15, not 6:45. 6:30. She's known that for 70 years. Never forgotten. Never asked why. The way we move around the kitchen in the morning without speaking, without bumping into each other, without even looking. Like a dance we've rehearsed 10,000 times. She goes left, I go right. I reach up, she reaches down. Perfect. Choreography born from decades of practice. These small things, these quiet things. I'd stopped counting them as anything. They seemed like nothing compared to what I thought intimacy was supposed to be, but they were everything. One night, I woke up at 2 a.m. I always wake up at 2 a.m. now like clockwork, and I reached across the bed just to make sure she was still there, still breathing, still real. Her back was to me. I could see her shape under the blanket, rising and falling, steady, alive, and my hand found hers under the covers. She must have been awake too, because her fingers closed around mine immediately, like she'd been waiting. We didn't say anything, just lay there in the dark, holding hands. And I realized something that made my chest tight. This is what I'm actually afraid of. Not losing sex, not losing my masculinity or my identity or my worth. Losing this. Her breathing next to me in the dark. The sound of her in the next room. The shape of her under the blanket. The weight of her hand in mine. This is what's irreplaceable. Physical closeness was how we connected when we were young. It was urgent, necessary, real. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't important. It was. For decades, it was the language we spoke to each other, the way we said things that had no other words. But it was never the only way. I just couldn't see the others until it was gone. Now, I see them everywhere. Her hand in mine on the porch every evening. The way she straightens my collar before we go anywhere, even though no one cares what I look like at 101. The way I pour her tea at 4:15 every afternoon, because that's when she wants it. Not 4 o'clock, not 4:30. Exactly 4:15. The way she says, "Do you remember?" and doesn't need to finish the sentence because I already know which memory she means. The lake house, the first car, the night the oldest was born. The way we can sit in the same room for hours, reading different books, saying nothing, and feel completely together. Intimacy didn't end when sex ended. It just became something I didn't recognize, something quieter. Less about hunger, more about presence, less about what we do to each other, more about what we are to each other. When you're young, you think passion is what holds you together. That fire, that intensity, that need. You think without it, there's nothing. Just two people occupying the same space for no reason. But passion burns. That's what fire does. It burns hot and bright, and then it burns out. Not because something's wrong, just because that's the nature of fire. What's left after the fire isn't emptiness. It's warmth, the kind that lasts, the kind that doesn't demand anything from you except that you be there for it. I look at Eleanor now, really look at her, and I see every version of her. The 23-year-old girl I married, the young mother with our first son in her arms, the woman who held my hand at my father's funeral, the grandmother reading to our grandchildren, all of it layered, all of it still here, all of it still her. And she sees me the same way, sees every version of me, the young man, the father, the grandfather, all my failures and successes and moments of weakness and strength. She knows me completely. Nothing hidden because there's nothing left to hide. Nothing performed because there's no one to perform for anymore. That's intimacy too. Maybe the deepest kind, not bodies pressed together, but time, witness, proof that someone walked beside you your whole life and chose to stay, chose you, over and over, through everything. I'm 101 years old. My body has failed in 100 ways. There are things I can't do anymore, things I'll never do again. And yes, sex is one of them. But when Eleanor sits beside me on that porch and takes my hand, I don't feel like I've lost anything. I feel known, not desired in that old way, not needed for what I can do. Known, seen, remembered, held. And that's enough, more than enough. So what's left when sex is gone? Everything that mattered underneath it. Everything I was too young to see when I thought passion was the whole story. Her hand in mine. Her breathing at 2 a.m. The sound of her humming in the next room. 73 years of small moments that built something bigger than passion ever was. Something that doesn't fade, doesn't burn out, doesn't depend on what my body can or can't do. That's what's left. And it's not loss. It's home.